Story 1. It's okay. I am hitting the gym regularly, joined a bowling league, and bought a new car and a house. I am picking up new hobbies and working on myself and the things I enjoy. It's a shame there's nobody by my side for it, but I'm not just going to sit around feeling sorry for myself. Story 2. It's going well. I have a good job and make more than enough money to live comfortably. I go to the gym every day and I am in great physical shape. I can live according to my schedule and have time for all my hobbies. I must admit I still feel a bit lonely sometimes, but other than that, I believe there isn't anything in my life right now that could be improved by being in a relationship. Story 3. I didn't give up on the idea. I just accepted the fact that I'm not going to experience it. It's not so bad living an ordinary life and raising my son. Story 4. After a bad breakup and another ghosting experience, I've accepted that maybe dating is not for me. Right now, I'm focused on my career and hobbies, and we'll see what happens in the next few years. Story 5. It just wasn't something that was ever going to happen. There was too much trauma, too much poverty, and too many difficult experiences. As far as how things are going, they are much better than you might think. I am often happy despite everything. Story 6. It's fantastic. Everything is much easier now. Tasks are completed more quickly. It's very quiet. My blood pressure has decreased. I am happier than I have ever been. Story 7. I don't think about it anymore. I go to work, come home, and spend time with my friends for a while before going to bed. It's pretty much the same every day. Next month, I will be 2 years sober. Ever since I quit drinking alcohol, I stopped going out and attending parties. It's just me and my motorcycle. I attend bike meets occasionally. I don't have any other hobbies besides riding motorcycles. Story 8. It is actually peaceful to focus on myself. I save money and my mental health is better. Although it can get lonely sometimes, I have family and good friends. Solo adventures are always enjoyable without having to worry about anyone else. Story 9. I have been there and done that with kids as proof. I am comfortable being single. It will take a woman who truly captivates me to step out of my comfort zone, and I am not actively seeking love after experiencing a few disappointing relationships. I do not engage in casual sex either. Although I have had casual encounters in the past, I do not find them enjoyable. I am the kind of person who needs to establish a connection before fully enjoying intimacy. That is the kind of meaningful experience where we both express our love afterward. Intimacy outside of that feels like mere physicality without emotional connection. So, I remain celibate and that is perfectly fine. Story 10. I stopped experiencing the difficult parts of life that dragged me down and affected me negatively. That is a positive change. Story 11. It's pretty mediocre, but that was true even before I gave up, which is why it was a foolish endeavor to begin with. I'm just filling in the time while I wait. Really, I don't have anything to look forward to except poor health, rising living costs, the very real threat of homelessness, and slow starvation when I am too old to work. I don't have the option to retire and never will. My only hope is that I will pass away before I end up on the streets and starving to death. Story 12. Miserable at times, but peaceful mostly. I was born unable to have children, along with a range of medical problems that I cannot change. The few women who showed interest in me were not evil, just not healthy-minded. My medical issues made me desperate when I was younger to find any woman who had interest in me, leading to poor decisions. My last girlfriend was over 15 years ago, and she passed away. I do not want to be alone, but when women seek the top 10% of men, and I am unable to reach that standard, it seems I am meant to be alone. Rather than wasting money and time on women who will never show interest, I try to stay busy, focus on making a few friends, and play cards. I have no choice. This situation provides a lot of perspective and an opportunity for wisdom to think about life, what we have control over and what we do not. Story 13. I don't know, it feels pretty great, to be honest. While I've always been a recluse, I have done my fair share of dating. Once you get past that feeling of loneliness, these are the best years of my life so far. I'm richer. I don't have to buy anyone dinners, gifts, or anything else. I'm mentally sound. I don't have to be anyone's counselor or play mind games about why someone is mad or worried about something. I'm not ashamed. I bought myself a few accessories that satisfy my desires quite nicely. So now I ask, what can a girl offer me that I don't already have and enjoy? If she shows up one day, cool. Until then, I have my hobbies and my career to focus on. I'm working to earn a living and prioritize self-care and joy from my work. Make friends, not lovers, and you'll find that happiness comes from a healthy mind and body. Story 14. Not fun, but I really don't have a choice. I haven't given up on the idea, but I've given up trying to find it. I'm so tired. Story 15. Every time I have given up on relationships, I have enjoyed it, mainly because I spend more time doing fun and useful things, being an emotional support for a partner, arranging dates and activities, and generally being present in a relationship take up a significant amount of time and mental energy. However, I always fall back into old patterns and find myself in a relationship again, as I am now. It is enjoyable and affectionate, but there are trade-offs, as I have mentioned. I guess the moral of the story is, be fine with it, be fine without it. Be fine with yourself either way. Story 16. I didn't give up on love. I just stopped caring about being in a relationship. Just hooking up is the way I feel much better. Story 17. I am 41 years old and I have never found anyone. I have never even been on a date, let alone had a girlfriend. To answer your question, my life is exactly the same as it was before I decided to give up. It is still the same boring, sad, and unfulfilled life. Story 18. Fantastic. It was the best decision I've ever made. I freed myself from complaining, dishonesty, betrayal, and all the negativity I encountered in relationships. I no longer face criticism about my performance. I don't feel humiliated anymore. All the negatives are gone. I am forever grateful for my decision to stop trying so hard. Sometimes a positive outcome comes from simply letting go of the negatives. I will never go back. There is nothing worth the challenges I faced in those relationships. Story 19. It has been more than 20 years since I first experienced romantic love, so it seems like it will never happen again. Here's hoping it doesn't. Story 20. It's just another part of my life that didn't work. I don't intend to live long, so I have more time to distract myself and do my things. Story 21. I still have the desire for love and partnership, but I am exhausted from trying to share my life with someone else. It has been very peaceful. I feel I have improved so much within myself that when the opportunity arises to be with someone, I will be prepared. Sometimes we get caught up in what love is supposed to be, not realizing how unhealthy the connection can actually be. I do not miss the arguments, fights, or the heaviness in my heart. I am content for now. Story 22. I accepted that if I am going to find genuine, real love, it will be after my time in this dimension is up and I reincarnate. Story 23. Pretty good, actually. No drama, no money drain. No nagging and constant criticism. I do what I want when I want in accordance with what I think is important. This has been a formula for peaceful contentment so far. Story 24. The sadness feels less sharp and piercing. My life is still difficult in every other way, but at least I have set aside the unrealistic idea of love as a pathway to happiness. Now I mostly experience a dull, suffocating sadness, which largely stems from a lack of future, hope, or sense of possibility, feelings that are much more general and diffuse. However, I'm still alive for some reason, so I suppose a part of me is finding something to keep going, even if it seems trivial. I think I have become better at distracting myself. That's all I can say. Story 25. There are very few people I have ever found even remotely attractive in life. Of those people, they are either unavailable due to a mismatch of orientation or they have significant baggage that I am not willing to deal with. Besides, I am generally pretty happy on my own. I have my family and friends for when I want company. Paying for only myself and making my own decisions, life is fairly inexpensive. I feel a lot less stressed when I am not constantly picking up after someone else. My career, income, and health are all better than they have ever been. Story 26. Great. No drama, no stress, No worries about my life being affected by the system at the whim of anyone. My life is much better since I walked away. Story 27. I kept more of my money until a recent setback, which reminded me why I walked away from the idea in the first place. I needed that reinforcement to stay focused on my long-term goals. Relationships can be momentary distractions on your path to building a legacy. Never forget that. The modern dating world has become challenging, especially in the West. Find something you can excel at and make a substantial income from it. Then pursue something more fulfilling when you have enough to be as comfortable as you desire. Story 28. I was accurate with my decision. There was less wasted time and energy worrying. Despite what everyone has said so far, not a single woman has shown interest in me, just as I predicted, so I can prove them wrong. Story 29. I'm content without being fulfilled, if that makes sense. It would be nice to have a partner, but after nearly a decade on my own, I think I've accepted that it may never happen. I can either be depressed about being alone, or B, get used to being lonely and toughen up over time through prolonged exposure. Story 30. It is not the best thing, but it is what it is. I do not make enough money for a relationship, and relationships take real effort. I am too tired for that. Story 31. For the majority of us, life goes differently than we planned. However, you can still have a life that you enjoy. If you like being alone, embrace that. If you would prefer to have a woman in your life but are okay being alone, open yourself to a relationship without stressing about it. The point is to find a way to be happy with yourself on your own path. What will be, will be. Story 32. I have been single for 14 years, with no dating or pursuing. I made the decision around the age of 20, as it feels terrible to be beholden to someone else's desires. I also remember the emotional pain often experienced in relationships, and I am not looking to return to that anytime soon. Story 33. Pretty good. I am 69 years old, a 3-time divorcee, and I have lived with 2 other women. I still work full-time as a nurse. My health is great with no issues. Story 34. Hi. I am 26 years old. I wouldn't say I have given up on the idea of love, but around 5 years ago, I decided to take a break from dating. I don't think I would decline love if it happened, but I am not actively looking for it. Now I am happier in a way. Sure, I miss it sometimes, but I am also content just being myself. I have been in toxic, physically and emotionally abusive relationships since my teens. By practicing voluntary celibacy for a few years, I have learned a lot about myself and regained a significant amount of respect for myself. I have gained so much insight from reflecting on who I was and how I acted back then. Story 35. I have a job in a home office, only 4 days a week. I have my 2 cats keeping me company along with plenty of hobbies, friends, and events to attend. The first 30 years of my life were chaotic, which forced me to mature quickly at times and didn't allow women to really get to know me. I had my fair share of romantic experiences and opportunities, but I missed them due to insecurity, difficulty interacting with women, and hesitation about whether it was meant to last. Now I am down to earth and mentally free, with a laid-back attitude similar to the dude from the film The Big Lebowski. I know what I want, and it seems close to impossible to find. I don't even meet women I would consider girlfriend material. Wife material seems even less likely, especially since my town isn't very big and I've seen what's available. I've become a unique person. Not crazy, just hard to understand. Beloved by everyone who knows me. I often leave people wondering, why is he single? While also prompting comments like, oh, he's not my type. Story 36. I am a full-time dad and about a year ago decided that women and relationships were more trouble than they are worth. I save $800 to $900 a month and travel even more often with my child and friends or family. Life is far less stressful. I have peace and quiet, and no one is constantly seeking attention, money, or my energy. There is no unnecessary testing or requests for me to do things for them. This perspective comes from having been very successful with dating and fortunate to have spent a lot of time with different women, learning just how similar they all are. I wish I had learned not to place women so high on my priority list decades ago. Ironically, the availability of women who will offer companionship has only increased since going solo. Story 37. Every day feels miserable, and I want to end my life just as I did before. Life feels worthless when love seems unattainable. Story 38. I feel the same as I did when I was searching. I feel lonely. At least I don't get disappointed anymore when I'm ignored or when someone chooses a partner who is taller, better looking, and has more money, which is most of the population. Story 39. I was about to put myself out there for the first time after not doing so in a long time. I forgot that it can hurt. Story 40. It is honestly challenging and lonely. I do not have a history of love, so my response may not be as upbeat as those of other men. I am focusing on improving my body, hoping that love will come to me in time, but I will not go out of my way for it. Story 41. I'm feeling mixed about it. I recently went through a tough breakup, even though we were only together for a few months. I am 24 years old, and it was my first relationship with a girl. I still feel like I'm picking up the pieces from it. It left me feeling somewhat depressed, not going to lie. Story 42. Going great, actually. I'm having the time of my life living in a foreign country and building a career playing the folk music of that country. I have done things I would have never had the freedom to do if I had a partner, and the ability to do anything I want when I want without having to ask for permission or forgiveness afterwards is amazing, as is having a full bed to myself. I have a vibrant social life with many friends who love me and vice versa, and I don't feel lonely or like I'm missing out on anything. With 3 of them, I'm heading off on tour in Europe in a couple of days. However, there is a flip side I can't really explain. I don't feel like I'm missing anything, but I do feel like everyone keeps trying to make me feel like I'm missing something, especially through social media ads. And of course, I cry quite a lot when I see a healthy, loving relationship portrayed in media. Although it hasn't happened much, I occasionally cry after a hookup has left my place, perhaps wishing I felt more for them than just temporary attraction. I don't know. Maybe I'm broken and don't know how to fall in love anymore. God knows I don't remember the last crush I had, and while I miss the feeling of all that rushing excitement, I don't think it's worth all the pitfalls of an actual relationship. Story 43. I think it's mostly beneficial. You never escape the periodic feelings of loneliness, but distracting yourself with healthy hobbies is a great solution. There are plenty of willing guys out there that women can be with. I'm not doing them a disservice by keeping myself off the market. I haven't dated since I was 20, and with any luck, no person will ever show interest in me again. That thought brings me peace, knowing that my past will not repeat itself. I had the opportunity twice and botched it. Some people don't deserve another chance. Focus on your career, health, and family. Best of luck to anyone feeling lonely. You're stronger than you know. Story 44. It is acceptable as long as you have other things to concentrate on. The key to success is to stop thinking about dating and love, and to allow women to be pursued by men who are deserving of them. Story 45. I work with many women, most of whom are self-centered and dreary. My ex is the same way. I've already experienced it once. Why go through that again? Story 46. It may sound tone-deaf, but I gave up on finding love and started loving myself more. Then, without looking for it, I met my wife of 6 years. Sometimes, taking a moment to care for yourself is what it takes to show the universe that you are ready. Story 47. I have decided to save what I can at the moment and go traveling to Asia at the end of summer. So women haven't been on the agenda for a while now. I live with my parents to save money, so I am not really in a position to have an intimate relationship and am just taking it easy. I feel like I'm in a decent mindset. I do get lonely, but I think it may be a lack of validation since my job doesn't put me in contact with the opposite sex. However, I know I'm young, so I have time for things like this. Story 48. Honestly, I'm happier than before. I don't have to think about finding the right person, no more thinking about what if I continue with my ex, and no more worrying about talking to girls since I am not trying to find any romantic interest in them compared to who I was back then. Story 49. It's lonely, but I'm a lot happier in general. At least it's stable, and I don't sit in the car dreading going inside. I also have much more money than before. Story 50. While I am young, at 22, considering my past experiences, especially my latest relationship that left me feeling absolutely decimated, I struggle with trust towards those seeking a long-term romantic relationship with me. I am fueling my anger and rage stemming from feelings of betrayal and constant deception. I was taken advantage of while being stabbed in the back, receiving nothing in return, save for occasional intimacy to keep me from leaving. After this experience, I have accepted that I may never be loved, as all my relationships have failed, leaving me distraught. However, I have been working on myself for the past year, losing weight steadily, exploring different social connections, and making significant decisions. I underwent a medical procedure last year, recognizing that I do not have the mental capacity to raise children, especially considering that my desired career in the electrical trade would require me to travel every 6 months. I am also seeking help for my mental health, specifically learning how to manage adult attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and how to be social again. I obtained my motorcycle license and entered an apprenticeship. I honestly thought she had the best intentions, but her inaction regarding even basic responsibilities left me with resentment. I had to rebuild everything I worked for, compensating for the lost time I needed. I still face challenges, but I also have achievements that I am proud of. I wish I had someone by my side to celebrate with me, someone who would embrace me warmly and say, "I am proud of you," but I have no one. I've learned that I will live and die alone. I am learning to be comfortable with myself, which is difficult, but it reflects how I perceive things moving forward. I am constantly reminded that no one cares for me except my younger brother. I have already lost 2 brothers at a young age, so I understand the pain of losing someone you look up to early in life. I do not want my younger brother to feel that. Story 51. It can be lonely, but mostly I live for myself and do whatever I want whenever I want, using all the money I have for myself. Story 52. I wouldn't say I've given up, but I'm not revolving my life around the search for a life partner. If I happen to find one, so be it. Story 53. I haven't given up on it. I just don't approach women with the intent to ask them on a date. It's good. I have 2 cats, play a lot of sports and video games, and work. I don't really need anything else. Story 54. I have been married twice, and both were good while they lasted. However, I have realized that I am just better on my own. This is not in a sad way, but in a positive, life-affirming way. As Robert De Niro's character in Heat said, "I alone. I'm not lonely." Story 55. Between work, raising my children, and trying to keep my aging mother somewhat healthy due to significant memory issues, I barely have time to think, let alone feel much. When my ex-wife walked out, I knew that was just it. I have no interest in being a husband again. I barely survived the first year of being alone. Combining the loss of my marriage, the loss of a friend with benefits, and being ghosted by someone I thought was interested in me, I almost didn't make it. So it just is. Story 56. Life is great. I don't have anyone nagging me or trying to take advantage of me with little to offer in return. Peace is everything. Women can be chaotic. Story 57. Know thyself, love thyself, be thyself. I haven't given up on love. I have simply given up on the prepackaged idea of love presented by my culture. It is my culture that has warped and corrupted love, causing people to avoid and abuse not only themselves but also their ability to love. That being said, I am doing well. I thrive on my own. Story 58. I wouldn't say I gave up on love. I just live my life, and if it comes to me, then great. If not, that's fine too. I'm okay with casual dating. Story 59. It has been the best experience, transforming this college semester into a perfect 4.0 GPA, securing an internship and job, and going to the gym every day. Before, I was struggling in life. Story 60. It's day 2 of that choice. Right now, it's okay. I plan on getting back out into the wilderness and hitting the gym. I've always been a serial dater, someone who needs companionship. I'm just looking to live at this point. Story 61. It's going well. I'm almost done with my bachelor's degree and I'm always traveling to shows alone. I recently saw Dioro with some old high school friends, but at times I wished I could share those moments with someone special. I plan to study abroad this summer, so we'll see. Overall, life is good. I can feel a bit lonely at times, but I keep myself busy. Story 62. Lonely, but I keep occupied. Working, training, streaming. If you're going to be alone in a castle. Story 63. I haven't completely given up on the idea, but medical issues when I was younger, along with a lack of attempts to flirt and be more social, have put me behind in the dating scene. These days, I just bury myself in books, work, and hobbies. Story 64. It is not bad at all. Some days it can be lonely, and I will admit that weekends can be hard when it comes to finding the motivation to do anything. On the other hand, I think of other situations people are in around the world, and suddenly my life looks amazing. I have a well-paying job that I enjoy, a roof over my head, my health, and a small group of friends I enjoy spending time with. I have been single for 11 years now and gave up a couple of years ago as I realized that relationships are not for me. I am selfish, lazy, dislike compromising, and have various other traits that do not work with a partner. I have not had sex during that time either, but when I think of the risks associated with it, I am fine as I am. Story 65. I think it is going okay. I know there is a high chance I may not get married. My mom talked to me today during dinner about the need to put forth effort to find a partner. I explained that it's not that I am not trying, but there is just no one I really like. Additionally, I am facing some complex issues right now, and overcoming them is a significant challenge. I feel that I need to address these issues before considering marriage. Story 66. I started off badly, but things got worse before I managed to pick myself up. I found a completely different kind of job. I am not earning as much as before, but I am doing what I actually enjoy. I have hobbies that I pursue whenever I please. I have completely stopped trying to please everyone and now express my thoughts honestly, rather than saying what others want to hear. Story 67. I have always been someone who needed to be dating, but for the first time in my life, I have been single for a significant period. I am not using dating apps and focusing on myself. Now, I think I might struggle to want to date again, honestly. Everyone around me keeps mentioning how peaceful it is, and that's exactly what it is. I can do what I want when I want. I don't have to make choices that sacrifice family time and commitment for relationship time and commitment. I am improving at all of my hobbies. However, I do want kids, which is the only concern. Story 68. I spent my life being codependent and afraid of being alone, jumping from relationship to relationship. Honestly, it has been a breath of fresh air to learn my own level of self-reliance and independence, and to find the truest version of myself. I can come and go as I please and do whatever I want. It is wonderful. I know relationships are valuable because you have someone sharing your life alongside you, and that is great, but being alone cannot be beat. Story 69. It's been great. On the other hand, it's been tough. Learning to love yourself without needing someone else is really hard, especially when living alone. The dating scene is quite uncomfortable right now, particularly for someone like me who struggles with constant messaging. It was an easy decision to stop looking and leave the apps, but it's challenging to discover other things that bring me happiness. Overall, things are looking up, so I'm content. Story 70. It's generally acceptable most of the time, with some shorter periods of depression. I can mostly do what I want except for companionship, which is at the top of my list. Admittedly, I could try harder and probably meet someone. That might be enough for me, as I have always been a loner. Story 71. I have been going to the gym lately. This is the best shape I have been in, and I love how I look now. In addition to focusing on my work and career, I am building more intimate friendships and exploring new hobbies. Once you let go of the expectations and desires for companionship, life becomes more enjoyable. It seems to be that way for me currently. I am not opposed to companionship, but it is just not a priority at the moment. Story 72. I have released 43 songs on my YouTube channel and more than 40 beats on my Beats channel. I am now looking for success. Story 73. It feels peaceful, especially when I see other family members and friends in relationship troubles or complaining about it. Story 74. Ironically, doing this actually led me to the happiest relationship I have ever been in. It just happened. We got along, clicked, and 3 years later, I am looking to propose to her sometime soon. Story 75. I haven't given up on the idea, but I'm not rushing into a relationship just for the sake of it. Additionally, I'm not in a good place financially, and I don't want to find myself lacking in that aspect. Story 76. Wake up, college, lunch, home, gym, sleep. I have no life outside of that because I'm genuinely scared of people. Story 77. I wish I were brighter, and I would have chosen what is best for myself. I forgive myself and will move on to someone else. Story 78. Amazing. I don't have to worry about another person's mental state or if they are okay and aren't angry about something. Who knows, maybe the wind blew wrong. I've found that now, having seen how peaceful life is without a woman, it's hard to put up with another one. Trust me, you're not missing much. Focus on yourself and your own happiness. Build a life that can't be taken away by anyone else. Have a financial plan. If things get heated, she can drain you. Protect your money. Story 79. It's great, mostly. I don't have responsibility to anyone but my kids, and I am at a point in my career where I live comfortably financially. I don't have a lot of time for myself because of work and kids, but the feeling of having my own peaceful home and no relationship stress is beyond anything I could have imagined during my marriage. I've learned to appreciate my interpersonal relationships, romantic and otherwise, for what they are, not for what I wish them to be. I've also realized that if someone is not adding positively to my life, I am fine with them not being in it. I have a couple of occasional friends with benefits for both sexual and non-sexual companionship without commitment. At this stage of life, having been married my whole adult life, that is mostly enough for me. I am open to non-monogamous relationships and don't expect to find a woman I can trust to be honest, open, and fair-minded. Overall, I'm good. I am enjoying life after learning this much about people, relationships, and love. Story 80. It's more about exploring what each partnership has to offer, teaching, and adding value, rather than taking the emotional route of, I love her and want to marry her. It's a peaceful approach. Story 81. I gave up completely about 2 years ago and I'm now in a fairly new relationship. I was doing well until I met her, and I'm doing even better now. Story 82. I wouldn't say I gave up on it. I simply stopped letting it be something I actively pursued. I date and flirt, but I stopped wearing my heart on my sleeve. I think my brain turned it off. I can certainly be attracted and loyal, but overall I haven't been in love in years. I believe it would take another very rare person to get as close to that part of me again. Until then, I have actually become quite content in my perpetual flow. Peace starts at the end of the pursuit for conflict. Everything else is going great. Story 83. It's great to have a loving family and plenty of healthy hobbies. Otherwise, you may feel miserable. Story 84. I definitely have a very different answer to this question, probably because I'm still quite young, but who knows? I ended up giving up on looking for love because, no matter what I did, nothing ever worked out for me. I was notorious among my peer group for having the worst luck with women. So, like many others, I decided to focus on enjoying my hobbies and working on my career. Then, suddenly, in the pursuit of trying to at least have a casual encounter, since I wasn't looking for anything serious, I might as well have fun. I ended up finding my current girlfriend, who at the time was also just looking to have some fun after a really toxic relationship. From there, we started to develop feelings for each other while pretending not to have feelings at the same time. Everyone knows the story. It happens. In a way, giving up has been the best thing I've ever done with my love life, and I don't regret a thing. I know one could argue I didn't really give up, but at the time I was just looking for a quick one-night stand since it had been so long. Story 85. For the most part, it has gone better than I expected. Originally, I was almost positive I would eventually change my mind, and although that was somewhat true, I find it immensely difficult to motivate myself to pursue anyone. I stopped because it seemed to have a negative effect on my mental health, as my depression seemed strongly linked to my love life. In that sense, it seems to have worked pretty well. I haven't been nearly as plagued by depression since I gave up on this, and it's not as difficult or long-lasting as it used to be when I do get depressed. I am getting kind of lonely, though. Story 86. Having been ended a few months ago, I am not sure I've given up yet, but I am certainly disillusioned by the inevitable end of most relationships. I have a hard time reconciling how you can be so close to someone who wants to spend the rest of their life with you, only to end up like strangers as if you never met. Furthermore, it is haunting how quickly and easily someone can let you go as if you don't matter. Something about the impermanence of love does not sit right with me, and it prevents me from fully opening up to the possibility of love. Either way, I always find myself happier being alone, even though I miss having someone next to me. Ultimately, it is better this way. Story 87. I saved myself from heartbreak, trauma, and debt. I started working on myself, became successful, and began enjoying my life. However, there was a plot twist. I became a serial killer. Story 88. I haven't given up on it. It's in my mind all the time. I just know that it will never be what I envisioned. I wonder if I'm better off spiritually alone. I don't mind being single, but the desire is overwhelming. Story 89. I am very happy. The women are boring. They don't have hobbies and are not passionate creatures, while I am the opposite. Story 90. I gave up on love after divorcing my first wife. Trying to avoid all things social is ironically how I met my second wife. Story 91. I did that and learned to really enjoy being single. Then I met a lady who was also content with being single and loving life. Now we have been together for almost 2 years. It's unbelievable. Story 92. Worked out just fine. Happily married. Sometimes it's better to focus on becoming a better version of yourself. You may find yourself being discovered and pursued. Story 93. I was working out a lot, adopted a puppy from the shelter, and focused on improving myself and living my best life. Although I felt lonely at times, I could usually ignore it or call my friends to fill the social gaps. I went out to different places and made new friends. I had more time and money for my hobbies. I ended up doing really well. Ironically, I also met someone who confessed her feelings for me. She is the first woman I successfully asked out, and she motivates me to do more. Story 94. I gave up looking, but it found me. I seriously gave up on it when my second marriage failed, and I didn't want to put my daughter through the pain again. I wasn't looking when I found my wife. She was everything I was searching for. I just didn't realize it. I tried to ignore it. My daughter was the one who encouraged me to pursue it, and I'm thankful. You can stop looking, but don't let that lead to resentment. Resentment kills relationships, and your relationships may end before they even begin. Story 95. I lived alone for 10 years after a terrible divorce. I focused on being a father and had no real interest in dating. I would meet different women casually and continue with my life. Then, one day out of the blue, I met the love of my life, and we are soon to be married. It's a big change for me, but I'm so excited. If you're alone right now, enjoy that time. You never know what each day will bring your way. Story 96. For the past 2 years, after 20 years of marriage, I have been dating and meeting new people frequently. I transitioned from one relationship to another. Story 97. Oddly enough, it has been the best thing I did that actually helped me make progress. I decided to do what I wanted all the time without paying any attention to women, and suddenly I received attention. Story 98. Men who have given up on the idea of love and stopped searching for it altogether. How has that been for you? I haven't given up on it. It's just easier to love yourself than to seek someone to love you. Things are going well. I can't complain. Story 99. I stepped away from dating in 2015 and moved to a new country in 2017. I met some new friends in 2018, started dating one of them in 2019, and married her in 2023. Being single is underrated. I think I would have done better if I had spent more of my 20s single and with my friends. Story 100. I'm about to get married. Back in 2015, I fell head over heels for a girl who just wasn't that into me, but she led me on for a few months. After that heartbreak, I pursued a lifestyle that wasn't healthy, but in 2021, I met my soon-to-be wife. Story 101. I am probably going to return to it. I had some very good reasons to stop, but I believe the time to start again might be soon for me. It has been about 8 years since I last tried, and I needed all those years. Story 102. I am doing well. I got in excellent shape, bought a house, a new car, and found an amazing partner. I've known her for years and dated her in the past when I was less mature. She is truly in love with me for who I am, not for my appearance or possessions. I couldn't appreciate these things until I took charge of my life. I encourage any man to stop searching. Story 103. I am married with 2 kids now. I went through a bad breakup. She was involved with 3 of my friends, and I found out a few days after proposing. She had an abortion and was pregnant but didn't know who the father was. She left me for one of the other guys, and it hurt deeply. I became depressed, shut down, went to some dark places, and tried to do some harmful things. When I started to rise from rock bottom, I swore off women, no girlfriends, no casual hookups, nothing other than platonic friendships. After working on myself for a year or 2, I realized this was just how things would be, so I accepted it. I traveled a bit with my dog, played in a few bands, and focused on myself. Eventually, I met another girl whom I initially saw as just a friend, and she helped me open up more than ever before. Story 104. That's so unfortunate. The world is full of things to love, from animals to businesses to people. We just need to have an open heart. Story 105. Living my life, drinking occasionally, smoking occasionally, and working every day, paying bills and enjoying relationships. Some people take life too seriously these days. Take a joke, have a laugh, and let go of toxic influences. Celebrate what you have and continue to strive for more. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.